Hello everyone and welcome to a shoutcast by Adahn, that is me. This is a replay from the DreamHack 2013 event, the open event, the first one of the year. And spawning here in the bottom right corner, we do have the red Terran player Thorzain from Team Evil Geniuses. And in the bottom left corner, his opponent in this group stage number 3, it is Bischu. A very good European Zerg player, in case you guys don't know who he is. And this is again one of the first games in Heart of the Swarm taking place in the DreamHack event earlier this year. And this DreamHack event probably one of the first big tournaments in Heart of the Swarm. The first, in fact, WCS Tier 1 tournament of the year. So these guys are putting up some new builds now for Heart of the Swarm. We haven't seen too much at this point in time. And of course, these guys, they don't really know what they're doing yet. The metagame has not gotten too well developed. And we could see definitely a couple of new builds, a couple of ideas coming out from players. And Thorzain, one of those players who loves to have very, very cool, very, very stylized builds. He likes to play very defensively and very precisely. So I wouldn't be too surprised if he has some new ideas in this game. And of course, if you want to get this replay, if you want to get all the replays, DreamHack did upload almost all of the replays from the tournament, so you can get them yourself. Not a problem at all. So right now, Thorzain is going to do a little bit of an SCV scout. I think this is definitely a good idea, especially with the new Mothership core. It is a little bit dangerous for Terrans not to push out very early with a scout, because a Mothership core and a couple of Stalkers can do a lot of damage unless you get that bunker up right away. And if he's going to go for some sort of greedy play, which it is Thorzain, so we do expect something like that, he's going to have to be a little bit careful with that. Especially because these days, a lot of Terrans, they try to get that Reactor up really quickly, they try to get that Reaper up really quickly, and if that happens, you know, you're cutting a lot of units. And if your opponent is Croning boosting out his units, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. So he scouts in here, but Bischu, he doesn't look like he wants to do anything too aggressive. Not going to be building that Zealot. He's going to get the double gas, but only has 2 guys on each gas geyser, so it doesn't look too cheesy. And he's done something here where he's put both of his pylons together. So Thorzain, he knows where all the units are going to be coming down. He knows they're going to be coming down, or all the buildings rather, all the technology. So he's not too worried about anything, you know, like a Stargate here. He's pretty certain that he's going to be the scatter everything. Look at this, Bischu. He doesn't care. He doesn't care if he gets scouted. He's just going to drop Stargate right in the face of Thorzain. Oracle, something that we saw a lot towards the start of Heart of the Swarm. Again, this is from earlier in the year, right when Heart of the Swarm was released. So definitely something that we expect to see. And look at this, Thorzain very nicely scouting with 2 Marines. But look at this mind game here from Bischu. He's actually going to cancel the Stargate. Going to go back into a regular build. Going to go into an expansion. So might have tricked Thorzain a bit here. Thorzain now expecting those oracles, going to be playing a little bit more defensively. He did do a lot of scouting here for the proxy, and now he's going to be getting that Widow Mine up. And his expansion is just going to be a little bit later than the Protoss opponent. And normally when you play Terran versus Protoss, the Terran player gets his expansion first. Going to pull off his mule from the mineral line there. If you put a mule on the close mineral patch, it will not return its last trip. So those 30 minerals that it's carrying on that last trip actually just disappear and never come back to you. And it's a little bit important either to maybe put your mules on the far mineral patches where it actually will not waste those last few minerals because it's too slow to actually gather them, or to pull them away like Thorzain does. And Thorzain now very tricked, very, very unaware of what's going on from Bischu. Still thinks there's a Stargate going down, playing very defensively now, thinking it's probably some sort of gateway with Oracle push. So he's staying very far inside his space. His command center, he hasn't put on the low ground, so he's going to have to float this over, and command centers float very slowly, so it's going to take a long time for him to get that expansion up. And his opponent's expansion already finished, already going into the Immortals, going into the 3 gateways. So Thorzain definitely in a little bit of trouble. And look at this. Bischu very smartly setting up some pylons around the map. He actually does not know where his opponent is right now, but this pylon is going to be useful regardless in the later game, because Thorzain, if he expands here, if he expands here, this pylon will of course be able to rally units across. But Bischu does decide maybe it's a little bit too far. He's probably going to place another one down here, maybe around here, just a little bit closer to his opponent's base. Doesn't of course need that pylon, not even close to supply block. So he does cancel, and once he figures out Thorzain is in the bottom right corner. Again, Thorzain's still not expanding. He does now know that his opponent probably expanded, so he is going to take his expansion, but look how long this command center takes to float over, and during this time he's not building SCVs out of here. So Bischu, he's getting a little bit higher up. Now Bischu is actually not building probes right now, getting a little bit supply locked, so just a little bit sloppy on the macro from Bischu. But you still will be slightly ahead in the coming stages. Now Thorzain, he's got a lot of Marines, he's got a couple Widow Mines, and this is very dangerous for a Protoss player who has mostly gateway units, because the Widow Mines do one-shot all the gateway units, and he's going to spot this pylon. A couple of Stalkers on the other side as well. Thorzain does take out this probe, and the pylon. And these Widow Mines are very, very dangerous for the Protoss player. Does he have an Observer out? It looks like he's building an Observer now. Again, the Widow Mine, very, very strong against all the gateway units. Unless you have the Observer out, then those Stalkers can begin to pick out the Widow Mines from the long range. But you still have to be a little bit careful. And so Bischu looks like he wanted to do an attack, but now he's going to pull back. Whenever you get Immortals like this, whenever you have the two Immortals and the Sentries, it's almost always attack. The Immortals are not very good against the Terran opponent because they're kind of slow. They're not good against Widow Mines. Ooh, nice Widow Mine shot there. They're not very good against any of the units the Terran has, except maybe siege tanks. But even then, you have to get in range. So, what do you use them for? You use them to kill bunkers. You could use them to kill wall-offs. You use them to tank damage. That's what the Immortals are here for. He's going to do a small attack. Oh, but very sloppy here with the Observer. And now these Widow Mines, they're just going to be uncontested. And look at this. Another Widow Mine taking out another Sentry. All the Sentries actually getting focused fire down here from Thorzain. The expensive units going down first, and then he's going to be able to clean up the rest of the units without proper force fields to keep these Marines in the back. The Marines and SCVs are just going to run straight in, even saving a couple SCVs there with his medevac. And without the Observer, he's going to have to pull back. Bischu's going to have to pull back here. He's only got Stalkers. He's only going to have Immortals here. And this one siege tank doing a lot of damage. The Immortal not going to be able to take too much damage here, especially with these Widow Mines. There's just not enough here to poke through. Even if you have an Observer, you have to slowly take down the Widow Mines. And of course, with the siege tank in the back, while your Stalkers are attacking the Widow Mine, they're going to be taking shots from the siege tank. So a little bit dangerous here for Bischu. But he doesn't look like he wants to push in too much just yet. He's just going to stay at the front, wait for his observer, and then maybe try to push in with a couple of Zealots to tank and get something done. But I don't think he's going to get anything done here. The positioning here from Thorzain is just too good. Of course, Bischu is going back up to the robotic space, so this is not, entirely an all-in. He is going to transition slowly here. The observer scouting a little bit, seeing the position of the Widow Mines, and the Mothership Core now trying to do a little bit of damage. Might drop a Time Warp on the mineralized line as well. Although I don't like that choice because right now the Time Warps and so on and so forth will be more useful in battle. But he's going to be a little bit annoying. Thorzain actually losing one of SCVs here and not even pulling any of his Marines to defend it. I think he's a little bit too scared of the frontal push. He's got the Widow Mines, he's got the turret, he's got the siege tank. He should be just a little bit less cautious here and push back the Mothership Core, which now he does. And of course, he still does not have that stim pack. Gotta wait for your stim pack if you want to push out his turret, if you want to do anything, because unstim pack units are much, much weaker. So he sees this and he sees, well, I could attack here, but I don't have the stim pack. If he attacks me and I don't have a stim pack up, it could be a lot of trouble for me. So I'm going to wait for that stim pack. I'm going to wait for the combat shields and maybe one or two more medevacs, and then I can push out. Meanwhile, Bischu, he is going to get that Colossus range. I think he's aware that Thorzain has a very light stim pack, so he is very comfortable sitting up here. He's got a couple force fields. Thorzain's got to be very careful. He's only got one medevac, so he can't really pick up his units and leave very easily, especially without that stim pack. Just now the stim pack finishing up. Also +1 armor finishing up. The +1 attack already finished. Bischu not going for any upgrades. So Thorzain definitely going to have the advantage here. And look at this. Siege Tank's pushing forward. It looks like Bischu wants to attack. Thinks the Siege Tank's right out of position, but he is wrong. Does not even get a single Siege Tank there and loses a lot of Zealots. And Thorzain, very nice micro. The stim pack hitting just in time here. And a recall coming down, but I think it's a little bit too late. Lost a lot of units there. Did Bischu, as you can see in the units lost, have twice as many units lost for Bischu as Thorzain. Now Thorzain can do a very, very strong push. The observer's still scouting everything. Thorzain has got to know there's a pylon somewhere. So he's sending 2 Marines to scout that out. Going to push with the rest of his units. Bischu has very nice vision of that. But does he have the units to stop it? He does have one Colossus, probably a second one on the way, and Thorzain does not have Vikings, so I think he will be able to barely stop this push with the Photon Overcharge, of course. But Thorzain could also be annoying with medevac drops, since he does have 3, and the third command center coming down now for Thorzain. So Thorzain going to poke up the front. Going to set up his Siege Tanks. Very nice choke position there. Very hard for Zealots to get around and surround them. And also very smartly scouting third base. But these Siege Tanks, they're not going to be too far up. So he's not going to be able to push too aggressively here. And a couple of nice shots going down from the Colossus. Force Field's going down as well, trapping a couple of those units. But he did lose almost all of his Zealots. He's got to replace those with his Warp Gate, and he does so. The Mothership Core just barely surviving. Does have a Time Warp, but he should have really saved his energy for a Photon Overcharge, in my opinion. Now if he loses the Mothership Core, he's being very, very greedy with it. He could be in a lot of trouble, but going up right on the Siege Tanks, the Immortal killing off 2 of the Siege Tanks, one of them getting picked off by the Colossus, and now it looks like he can save this base with the double Colossus. Thorzain is still pushing in here, but I don't think he can get anything done against 3 Colossus here. Still trying to pick off a couple of the Zealots here, but will lose his last Siege Tank here. The Immortal did go down as well from our Protoss Glacier Bischu, and he did lose his Mothership Core, so you won't have that Photon Overcharge. And this is a very dangerous drop right now from Thorzain, because without the Stalkers out, without any real units out, he's going to have to rely on Colossus, which are very slow and very vulnerable to things like Marauder drops or Vikings to defend. So he's trying to get a couple Stalkers out to protect his Colossus, to protect against his drop play, but no Mothership Core out. No, it is just came out here, but he's only got 50 energy, so no Photon Overcharge. He's going to be very cautious, and of course Thorzain taking his third base at the same time, getting that orbital up on his third base. Going to be transferring SCVs up. He's got way better upgrades, getting +2/+2 just now, and as you can see, lots more barracks coming up, so he wants to lay on the aggression. Meanwhile, Bischu, he's still stuck on 0/0 upgrades. He hasn't even been able to transition to Twilight Council. He's really going to need Templar in the coming stages of this game, because Thorzain, he's starting to get Vikings out. He's even getting his air upgrades. Very nice from Thorzain. And if he wants to take a third base, he's not really going to be able to protect that very easily against the massive force that Thorzain has. And the Vikings, he's just going to start doing medevac drops around here and pressuring the third base with his main army, and Bischu is going to be in a lot of trouble. So Bischu, realizing that he's behind, he's not going to be able to really take a third base very easily. Looks like he wants to do an all-in push, and here it comes, but he is down a lot of supply, 25 supply right now. And Thorzain, he's got Siege Tanks for that defensive positioning. He's got Widow Mines for that defensive positioning. And I think he's going to be just fine here now. He's got kind of a precarious situation here in the middle of the map, where he's not really defending any of his bases. He's defending more of a specific location. So maybe if Bischu attacks through the upper location of this map, he could get something done. But oh my god, he's going to lose that Mothership Core for free. No, just barely saves it. One more volley would have killed that Mothership Core. I'm going to just barely save it. And now 5 Colossus out. Does Thorzain actually have enough Vikings to defend this? He's only got 5 Vikings, and there are a lot of Stalkers, so I think he could very easily lose all of his Vikings here in 1 or 2 blasts. Now, there are no observers out. Again, Thorzain sniped that observer that was scouting his army, and Bischu, he wants to build a lot of Colossus, so these Widow Mines might do a lot of damage. 1 Stalk going down, and he's actually going to pull back, so that Widow Mine might have time to recharge. But will he go for the better positioning here in the third base? Looks like he will, and his opponent is a little bit late to react, so he's going to get a very nice position. He can even cast a couple of Force Fields here. He's got a Colossus hallucinated. He's going to cast Force Field on the bottom of the ramp. No Force Fields, so the Bio Army will get away, but the Siege Tanks are not so lucky, and now all this SCVs going down for Thorzain. Are there enough Stalkers here? He's going to try to pick off all of the Vikings, but the Colossus, they're attacking SCVs, they're not attacking the units, and now all of the Gateway units are dead for Bischu, and the Colossus are completely vulnerable, so he does know it is GG. Thorzain winning this game with fantastic macro and a fantastic defense in the beginning. Bischu a little bit too aggressive, and that does cost him the game, so Game 1 here between Bischu and Thorzain does go to Thorzain in the DreamHack Open Season 2013. Again, I am Adahn, and if you like this, please support me and my casting. I also do free coaching and tutorials here on YouTube. So thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next time.